You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up, word, it's Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. So, whole lot going on, of course, around the country and the world, but especially on the national level with the Capitol riots and with the president now talking about pardoning himself and his children when they haven't been charged with a crime. That's a new one. And, you know, some of his allies breaking with him, some of them staying with him. And, of course, the murders continue in our community. And so does the crisis of people dying from overdoses from heroin and similar drugs. Which brings me to the first thing I want to talk about. WHYY reports that a 3-judge panel from the U.S. Court of Appeals has ruled that a safe injection site would violate federal law. You'll remember that a nonprofit called Safe House had plans to open the first such site in the country where people could shoot heroin under medical supervision. In a 2-to-1 opinion issued Tuesday, judges Stephanos Bibas and Thomas Ambro acknowledged that the number of overdose deaths caused by the opioid crisis does call for innovative solutions, but that those solutions may not violate federal law. Because Safe House knows and intends that its visitors will come with a significant purpose of doing drugs, its safe injection site will break the law, the opinion reads. It's an opinion that I've held for a very long time. Safe House, of course, formed in 2018 after the city announced plans to support a safe injection site. Its leadership includes Jose Benitez of Prevention Point, Rhonda Goldfein of the AIDS Law Project, and former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, who you will remember locked black people up in droves for using illegal drugs when he was DA. So here's the issue. Safe House and its allies believe the federal law that says you can't operate any facility for the purpose of using illegal drugs should only apply to crack houses. They believe since they're not black people from the hood, they should be able to operate what amounts to a drug house. I think they're wrong. You don't save people from drug use by helping them continue to get high. You help them by getting them off drugs. That has always been the case, and it always will be. Thankfully, the federal courts agree. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Juan Pablo Garnham of the Texas Tribune on the lack of access to the COVID-19 vaccine in hard-hit black and brown communities. Temple professor Lynn Washington on the criminal investigation into the Capitol riots. Shannon Farrell of the Harrogate Civic Association on the safe injection site decision. John Frisbee Byers of the Pennsylvania Humanities Council on a statewide forum on the next steps after the contentious election. Plus, dear Melanie has another hilarious answer, one of life's biggest questions. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065. It's toll free, 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at FullWord. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, federal investigators are chasing thousands of leads in twin efforts to prosecute people involved in last week's attack on the U.S. Capitol and to try to prevent feared follow-up attacks in Washington and around the country. But while the FBI has opened more than 160 case files in the 6 days since Donald Trump rioters breached the U.S. Capitol building, officials acknowledged yesterday that the evidence gathered so far is just the tip of the iceberg. People are going to be shocked by some of the egregious contact that happened in the Capitol. Acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherwin said in a reference to assault on federal and D.C. police officers. So the picture is going to build, he said. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what happened within the Capitol, and it's going to come into laser focus, I think, over the next days and weeks. At the same time, officials from the FBI and Department of Justice sought to reassure the public that they are up to the task on both fronts during a news conference that also laid bare the enormity of the challenge currently facing law enforcement agencies involved in both efforts. There's just one problem. The FBI director wasn't there. The attorney general wasn't there. At this point, I don't even know who the attorney general is. And so that is a problem because you've got these underlings saying, we've got it handled, we're going to do it, we're on it, we're arresting all these people, but the heads are nowhere to be found. Kawesa, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I don't know where these folks are, but what I will say is that I am over here just cracking up at all these little videos of, people be on the no-fly list, and they over here crying, getting arrested. I'm like, what you think was going to happen? You thought that because you're white, because you're privileged, that you weren't going to have to face the consequences of what you did? Your ilk were responsible for the deaths of several people. And so, yeah, no, you're going to be on that no-fly list. You're going to be arrested. You're going to be taken in, and you're going to pay the consequences for what you did. I don't want to see them tears. I don't. I have no sympathy. I have no pity. So, at the end of the day, I would like to see how this all unfolds. But I don't know how they're going to get all those people, but I want to see what happens.
Yeah, well, they were on. Here's the thing, and this is like, I remember there was a show that was out, and it was about dumb criminals. And this is like one of those things, man, where these people, you on social media, posting pictures of yourself committing a crime. Like, I mean, did they think about that, Kawesa? It's just dumb.
It's dumb. It's so dumb.
Lord have mercy. Which brings me to story number 2. It's a couple of stories really together. The fateful moment when the House of Representatives today impeaches Donald Trump for a second time will rank among the defining moments of America's story long after the citizens enduring these tragic days are gone. It's a lot of bewildering stuff happening, starting with Trump's refusal to accept his election defeat and his incitement of a mob assault on Congress. This has shattered long-held assumptions on what happens with the government, right? That the government is supposed to be for the people and by the people and of the people. Well, guess what? This is the worst thing we've seen since the Civil War. Usually the country's system of political checks and balances really works, right? It's never been under this kind of strain from somebody who's like, I'm going to do what I want. I don't care if it's wrong. And then I'm going to pardon myself. And so we are watching this craziness take place while the president is down at the Alamo in Texas talking about what he said and inciting that riot was totally appropriate, while at the same time calling for no violence in his first public remarks to reporters after the insurrection last week. So you don't do both at the same time. This is absolutely crazy. And so my question is, what's next, man? Get your popcorn ready. But the impeachment, yeah, they're going to vote on that today. Kawesa, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he needs to again, this is another person needs to suffer the consequences for what he's been doing. And so, I'm looking forward to, this impeachment process. We'll see kind of what happens. I don't really feel like they're going to be able to do much for the last, 2 seconds that he has left in office. But I do feel that they can continue the process once he leaves office. And I mean, clearly we see that he has no remorse. He doesn't take any responsibility for what he did. He doesn't feel that, there's blood on his hands. He just, thinks that what he said was correct and it was all right. Appropriate, I think, is what, he said in that. So I just, they need to, move forward with this and figure it out. And I'm here for it, but you're right. Yeah, get the popcorn ready. Like, I want to see what they're going to do with that.
Absolutely. Which brings me to story number 3, my commentary for the day. Mike Pence won't be helping to get Trump out of office through the 25th Amendment. So now it's about locking up the rioters. But I got to wonder how serious they are about doing that when we haven't seen the FBI director or the attorney general or anyone who seems to be in charge. We watched angry mobs chasing cops through the halls as members of Congress were evacuated. We saw a cop being beaten with poles as they filmed it on the steps of the Capitol. We know a man hit a cop with a fire extinguisher and killed him during those riots. We know Donald Trump lied to start all of it, then lied and said he's not responsible. You got military leaders reminding their troops to follow the law instead of Trump. You got 7 SEPTA cops and 1 Philly detective under investigation for being at Trump's rally. You got Air Force veterans being arrested for playing a role in the riots. And now, as Congress works to impeach Trump for the 2nd time, his followers are talking about holding violent protests in every state. Somebody's got to go to jail for this. And then somebody's got to bring the country together. Because when members of the military are more loyal to Trump than they are to the Constitution, when cops and firefighters are part of the mob that's storming the Capitol, when the president seems intent on continuing his parade of lies, we have to depend on ourselves. We voted in Joe Biden, and now we have to support him. We made it through Trump, and now we have to dismiss him. We made it through a pandemic, and now we have to live. Because with all that we've seen, one thing is clear. Nobody's going to rescue us but us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We are on the brink of another impeachment of Donald Trump, and this time there is bipartisan support. This time Mitch McConnell is on board. This time the third ranked Republican in the House is on board. And so my question is what's next? My question is, what does all of this mean? Because you have a president who is testing the norms of democracy, and I was talking to my wife this morning about all of this. Because normally what you have is a president who understands that he works for the American people. Normally what you have is a president who, regardless of his ideology, is doing what he believes or she believes is best for the country. That's normally what you have, right? Now, it might not be best for the country, but at least they believe it is, right? So I want to, if I'm a normal Republican president, I want to build up corporate interests because I believe that as corporations do well and as rich people do well, the country does well, right? That's what I believe as a normal Republican, right? As a Democrat, I'm going to support the working groups that support me. I'm going to support the unions that support me. I'm going to support, working people. Theoretically, right? And I'm also going to have some corporate folks on my side because I know that I need that money in order to stay in office and do the things that I need to do. That's normally the battling ideologies that you have, right? And so you have a guy now who doesn't care about any of that. You have a guy now who really is in it for himself, and that's been apparent. And I think it's now apparent to many in Republican leadership since he sent the mob to try to kill them, right? And so the question now is, where do we go from here? How do we secure our democracy? What do we do to make sure that somebody else does not come with that same type of self-interest and destroy the country? Because we're at a crossroads now. We're at a crossroads where either we are going to be a democracy, right, where democracy literally means one man, one vote, right? So are we going to be that, or are we going to be something else? I mean, that really is the question that we're facing right now, where you have, again, the leaders, the members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the leaders of the military. I've never seen them have to make a statement like this. They said, remember, your loyalty is to the Constitution, because they know that they have people within their midst, that they have people in the military who are actually part of this mob. They have people in the military who would rather lay down their lives for Donald Trump than for the country. They have people in the military who were breaching the Capitol and helping to plan out this assault. And so the Joint Chiefs of Staff have to come out and say, remember, your loyalty is to the Constitution and to the law and not to one person. It's unprecedented. And, since the Civil War, we haven't seen this kind of division in a couple of centuries, man, where you actually have the military attacking the government. So that's one thing. And then you see, just here in Philadelphia, you got 7 septic cops under investigation. You got 1 Philadelphia police detective under investigation. You're going to find more who are involved in this. So if you got 8 right here in Philadelphia, how many do you have from around the country? We've got the kind of split in our systems that are supposed to protect democracy that really are putting our democracy at risk. And what I would tell our people at this point and at a time like this is that you have to support each other. You have to take care of each other. You have to have a plan in case there is an emergency, right? So have some extra water in your house, right? Have some non-perishables in your house, right? Just really have a plan to take care of yourself and your family, and really work with your neighbors to make sure that your community is secure during this time of upheaval. Because the reality is we don't know what these people are going to do. And so just have a plan to take care of each other. Have a plan to check on your elders and the others who are vulnerable in your circle. Have a plan, right? Because as I said yesterday, and I'm going to keep saying it, this is not a drill. This is not just, Solomon just talking, right? This is not any of that. This is a time of great uncertainty, because you have a madman who is going to have to leave office. He does not want to. He's going to leave kicking and screaming, and he's got 70 million followers. And so we have to take care of us. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Are you tired of eating the same thing day after day? Is ordering takeout starting to get a little old? If so, then give Premium Nutrition Meals a try. With Premium Nutrition Meals, you get to select new entrees each week from several different menus, all chef-crafted, freshly prepared, and delivered right to your door. Just go to PremiumNutritionMeals.com to order to earn rewards today. WURD listeners receive $10 off orders of 6 meals or more. Enter code PREMIUMWURD at checkout.
onWURD 2020 in Black. Check out the latest edition of the onWURD podcast, where WURD President and CEO Sarah Lomax-Reese takes a look back at the racial justice uprisings around the nation in 2020. onWURD 2020 in Black. Download today wherever you listen to podcasts or visit wordradio.com. onWURD 2020 in Black was produced with support from Resolve Philly, which provides ground for journalistic initiatives that challenges our industry to be more equitable, collaborative, and based in community voices and solutions. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by challengesweface.org. Schuylkill Expressway westbound, getting Heavy University through the Vine Expressway, through the ongoing construction there. Eastbound side Montgomery through Girard, slow then heavy the Vine through University. Westbound Vine delays 8th out through Broadacon Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95 Cotman down through Bridge. You're slow there through that work zone. Heavy again Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound 95 not bad. On the 55 northbound jamming not Deptford into 42. Something's wrong. You can feel it. The news is biased. Social media too censored. Even more extreme ideology is tearing us apart. What is fueling the division? Visit challengesweface.org to learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Another sunny, nice January day today. Temperatures will climb from the 20s and 30s this morning to 46 for a high this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies. Clouds come through tonight without any wet weather. We'll dip down to 30 Thursday morning. Partly sunny and a bit warmer tomorrow afternoon, 50 degrees. Clouds on the increase on Friday after some morning sunshine, but it will be warmer Friday, looking for a high of 54. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're waking up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We are, of course, talking about a number of things. The impeachment process is going to go forward today in the House of Representatives. And now you have some Republicans who are now coming on board. The third highest ranking Republican in the House, Representative Cheney, is on board with the impeachment, as well as Senate Majority Leader for the moment, Mitch McConnell, who is on board with the impeachment. And so you have some Republicans now saying after the president, I mean, he literally had to put their lives at risk for them to say, okay, this man now represents a clear and present danger to the United States, to our union, to our democracy. And I think that that is a good thing. But the question is, what does it really mean? Because it does not mean that the president is going to be out of office before the 20th. He's got 7 days left in office. They can certainly start an impeachment process, but it is not something where he's going to be removed from office before the inauguration takes place. That's not going to happen. So what does it mean? Well, it means that, you know, history will look back and say that this person was so bad that they were impeached twice. My interest is in what happens on the criminal justice front after he leaves office. And I think he understands that he has some criminal liability. That's why yesterday you had him with these two different messages. He's being advised to say, I am against violence. That's what he's being advised to say. And so he said that yesterday, right, while he's at the Alamo, right, the symbol of violence, right? But at the same time, he's saying, look, I did nothing wrong in inciting this riot. So what? I told the people to go down to the Capitol. And, you know, when I listened back to his actual speech that day, he did say, after he said, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, lie number one, right? And we're going to cheer on some of our brave congressmen and women, and some of them we're not going to be cheering for so much, right? After he said that, he said, you know, and if you want to take your country back, and I've listened to it so many times, I know what he said. After he said that, he said, if you're going to take your country back, you can't show weakness, you have to be strong. So that's the clip that everybody plays, right? But after that, he said, and we're going to be nonviolent, right? And I think he said that to cover himself. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be his defense. Like, look, I said, you know, don't be violent. But I said be peaceful. That's what he's going to use to cover himself. I'm telling you now, right? And so the question becomes, what criminal liability does he have? And when he tries to pardon himself, because he's going to try to do that, how does that play out? Now, there's a memo. I've been reading up on this stuff, right? Because I want y'all to know. There's a memo from 1974 from the Justice Department where they say, you know, just like a judge can't be the judge in his own trial, a president cannot pardon himself, right? And so there is a memo on that which has kind of guided policy over the years. And it's no coincidence that that memo is from 1974. It's right after the whole Nixon debacle, right? With him really being forced out of office because of his criminality and corruption. Well, now we have somebody who I think by any reasonable standard can be viewed as worse than Nixon in terms of criminality and corruption, who is actually talking about ignoring Justice Department guidelines and pardoning himself. Now, he has been advised by Bill Barr before he left not to try to pardon himself. He's been advised by the White House counsel not to try to pardon himself. But those close to him say, look, you know, this is a guy who's going to do what he wants to do and then try to fight it out in the courts. And, you know, hopefully the whole court thing works out like it did when he tried to lie and say he won the election. And so I want to know what you think, man. How does it play out from here? How does it play out from here? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. And the other thing I've been thinking about, there's a couple more things I've been thinking about. One is this, you know, how do we make our dissent known in a way that's effective? And it's funny, as we were talking about this yesterday, I got a text from Sarah Lomax Reese, and she was talking about how we should use financial pressure in order to make our displeasure known, in order to move the needle. And I think she's absolutely right. I think that when you talk about boycotts, they have to be targeted. I think they have to be, you have to know what your goal is, and you have to communicate that clearly to the community. Otherwise, you know, 20% of us going to be boycotting something and the rest of us going to be like, you know, well, I'm still going to buy it. So you have to make your goal clear and you have to be targeted in terms of a boycott, right? But whatever corporations are supporting this foolishness, whatever corporations are still giving money to this nonsense, whatever corporations still believe that there is some political benefit to supporting someone who would incite a riot, incite a mob to attack his own vice president, well, then those corporations have to be made to pay, right? And so it's interesting because corporate donors are realizing that they have to make their voices heard. And so there are some corporations who are saying, no, we're not giving to your campaigns anymore. Anybody who supported this mess, not only are we not giving to your campaign, some of the corporations are saying we want our money back. The money that we gave to you, we want it back. And so that has to be a strategy. So that's something we need to talk about. But the other thing we need to talk about is this. So if you're in an emergency, right? You're in an emergency and you're in your bunker, right? What is it that you need to have in your bunker in order to make it through that first 48 hours or so? You know what I need, Kawesa? I need to have at least one cheesesteak. I'm going to be honest with you. I got to, you know, if I'm going to go out, I need to have at least one cheesesteak. What about you?
That actually that sounds like it would be good, honestly. But it has to be the right kind of cheesesteak. You know, I don't want my last meal to be like a crusty, gross, horrible mess of a cheesesteak. No, it has to be like from a really good spot.
It's got to be good.
It's got to be good. So I think I might have to concur with you on this, or a really good hoagie, like and not like just, no shade to Wawa, because I'll get a Wawa hoagie here and there, but you got to get like a good
a real hoagie,
mom and pop hoagie.
Yup.
Yeah.
The food you have to have in your bunker. Now, you got your soups and your other stuff and, the stuff that, your oodles and noodles, the stuff that you're going to need long term. But what's that thing that you got to take in your bunker with you in an emergency? I want to know. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Let's go to Malik from Mount Airy on line 2. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning, Word family, Solomon and Kawesa.
Good morning.
What scares me is we about to find out there was judges out there. We about to find out FBI agents and CIA and all these people that's supposed to protect us or uphold the law that were out there. And it's coming. I mean, police are coming out now. And it's scary to think. Until last Wednesday, the Confederate flag had never flown or waved or been inside of the Senate. Think about that. We are literally changing history as we speak. And it's scary because 45 is like the guy we all knew that would be like, oh, you gonna let him say that? Oh, you gonna let him say that? But after the two people fight, that same person saying, I ain't had nothing to do with it. Y'all
right. That's a perfect description. That's a perfect description. That's exactly who he is, man. It's crazy.
And it's crazy. He letting y'all. Well, that's on y'all. Now y'all both get locked up. You shouldn't have fought. But
yeah,
I thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
All right, Malik, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Again, today the House is going to vote on impeachment. Now, Mike Pence has made it clear that he will not be helping to get Trump out of office by invoking the 25th Amendment. That's where the vice president and a majority of members of cabinet declare the president to be incompetent, and then the vice president becomes the president. He's not going to be helping to do that. So now it's about locking up the rioters. And I got to wonder how serious they are about doing that when we haven't seen the FBI director or the attorney general or anyone else who really seems to be in charge. Now, we watched angry mobs chasing cops through the halls as members of Congress were evacuated. We saw a cop get beaten with poles as they filmed it on the steps of the Capitol. We know a man hit a cop with a fire extinguisher and killed him during those riots. They got a picture of him. We know Donald Trump lied to start all of it and then lied and said he's not responsible. You got military leaders reminding their troops to follow the law instead of Trump. You got 7 SEPTA cops and 1 Philly detective under investigation for being at Trump's rally. You got Air Force veterans being arrested for playing a role in the riots. And now, as Congress works to impeach Trump for the second time, his followers are talking about holding violent protests in every state. Somebody's got to go to jail for this. And then somebody's got to bring the country together. But when members of the military are more loyal to Trump than they are to the Constitution, when cops and firefighters are part of the mob that's storming the Capitol, when the president seems intent on continuing his parade of lies, we have to depend on ourselves. We voted in Joe Biden, and now we have to support him. We made it through Trump, and now we have to dismiss him. We're making it through a pandemic, and now we have to live. Because with all that we've seen, one thing is clear: nobody's going to rescue us but us. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let's go to Sharif from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Sharif.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for picking up my call.
You're welcome.
Solomon, what you're seeing right now, this is even more deeper than we thought, okay, within our society here in this country. That this is, and I keep comparing, Hitler. This is exactly what Hitler and his people within a government that slowly go over to him, and they started assassinating leaders in those countries that were against him. Okay? And that is the fear right now in the House of Congress when they have those detectives there, because they are afraid of House members coming with guns, with those losers. But again, I want to point out this. When Donald Trump is saying that he did not lose the election, that this is a fraud, what he is saying that black votes or African American votes should not be counted, and they should not be allowed to vote in this country, because we vote Biden into office.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what we did. But again, Donald Trump is the vile leader of all these society losers that stormed the Capitol. But it's not only him. The financiers, these corporations that are funding Donald Trump, and this elite also, they're all part of all this. And these people that were speaking and supporting Trump, telling all the lies that they go out there, from Sean Spicer, all these people, Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, all of them, they all should be held accountable, and they all should be responsible for this, Solomon. That's why thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's go to Derek from North Philly online too. Go ahead, Derek.
Good morning, Brother Solomon. Love, peace, blessings, and prosperity.
Same to you.
Solomon, I agree with that last caller 100%. And I'd like to add my thoughts to that as to say, when are the lawmakers and the citizens realize that Confederate flag is an atrocity to this country? It should have been abolished a long time ago. I don't understand how it was able to be raised in the way that it has over all other flags other than the United States flag itself in this country. People are dedicating themselves to two different flags, and it was demonstrated itself January the 6th. So the 13th Amendment says that slavery, I'm going to paraphrase it as best as I can, the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States says, all slavery has been abolished in the United States and all its jurisdictions, except for when one has been duly convicted of a crime. So these people are waving this Confederate flag in the United States Capitol as to say that the 13th Amendment, the mentality of itself. Martin Luther King Jr. said that we can change or we can affect legislation, but how do we put it in people's hearts to recognize we are part of humanity as one? So if you got people that we need to push for laws to abolish that flag once and forever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break on the other side. We're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Happy New Year, Philly. It's Solomon Jones. The pandemic of 2020 blew the roof off of life as we know it and forced us to make radical decisions once thought impossible. Many parents and grandparents turned to the option of a public cyber education. In thousands of instances, they sought assistance from the one true pioneer and industry leader in public cyber education, Commonwealth Charter Academy. Visit ccaeducate.me and exercise your right to choose a safe, hassle-free, student-focused learning environment your kids deserve. CCA delivers elite online instruction streamed directly to the safety and comfort of your living room. They provide a laptop and headset along with internet connectivity that includes financial assistance, all at no cost to families. CCA has been the gold standard in school choice for nearly 20 years. Visit ccaeducate.me and ring in 2021 with a 5-star learning experience. Again, that's ccaeducate.me.
Hey, WURD family, Reverend Leroy with a boss good recommendation for Clark Roofing. I found them to be a solid business, honest, dependable, fast, and clean workers. Mr. Clark stands by his work. Call him at 215-365-7663.
Call Clark Roofing and ask for second-generation master roofer Calvin Clark. Clark Roofing professionally installs a variety of roofing systems for your home or businesses. Call Clark Roofing at 215-365-7663 or visit their website
at clarkroofingpa.com.
Want the latest in word swag?
Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk media.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by challengesweface.org. Looking at volume heavy southbound 95. You're jammed up. Cotman down through Bridge. Again, delays heavy. Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound looks good. Westbound Vine. That's busy. 8th out through Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound. Jam University through the Vine through construction. Busy again. Belmont out through Conshohocken. Eastbound. Delays Spring Garden through University. The 8 Turnpike. Blue Ridge 476. Still a pretty good ride. The Boulevard Route 1 southbound jamming 9th Street down through Broad through construction. 55 northbound. Heavy Deptford in the 42. Something's wrong. You can feel it. News is too biased, social media too censored, even more extreme ideologies tearing us apart. What is fueling the division? Visit challengesweface.org to learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Sunny skies today and a nice warm-up after a cold morning. We'll warm to 46 degrees this afternoon. That's 6 degrees above average for this time of year. Clouds come through tonight. We'll dip down to 30 tomorrow morning. Clearing skies and sunshine in the afternoon Thursday will warm us to 50 degrees. And even milder, but it comes with increasing clouds for Friday, a high of 54. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we are talking about a number of things on this morning's show, including our top 3 stories. Story number 1, federal investigators chasing thousands of leads in twin efforts to prosecute people involved in last week's attack on the U.S. Capitol and to try to prevent feared follow-up attacks in Washington and around the country. Story number 2, the House set to vote on impeaching Donald Trump today. There are several Republicans in the House who are supporting that. And in the Senate Majority Mitch McConnell says he is open to the possibility of impeachment. And, of course, story number 3, Mike Pence. He said, look, I won't be helping to get Trump out of office. So now it's about locking up the rioters. But I got to wonder, how serious are they about doing that when we haven't seen the FBI director or the attorney general or anyone who seems to be in charge? We watched angry mobs chasing cops through the halls as members of Congress were evacuated. We saw a cop get beaten with poles as they filmed it on the steps of the Capitol. We know a man hit a cop with a fire extinguisher and killed him during those riots. We know Donald Trump lied to start it all and then lied and said he's not responsible. And so where do we go from here? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We also want to hear from you on Facebook, and you can, of course, weigh in there at FORWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kwesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a couple of comments here. Gary Murray says, good morning, Word. While we're on lockdown, I'm going to need plenty of bread, boiled eggs, ramen noodles, and maybe a hoagie. So that's one comment that we have here. And then we also have Matia Hicks weighing in saying good morning. So good morning to you. Also, I'm losing it here. Tony Freeman, good morning to you. Also, Allison B. Frazier, Hayden, good morning to you. And Cheryl Brown, good morning to you also. Then we have James Burr saying many people say it's going to be a good day. Impeach the orange. So that's another comment that we have. And then Brenda Bellinger, good morning to you also. Thanks so much for just tuning in. And I also did grab a couple of other shots here, so I'm trying to go to them as well. We have Bernita Francine, become a minimalist, buy and support Black-owned businesses, support your family and friends. And Rovetta Everett Gilmore, good morning to you also. And Gail Robinson says, yes, lay it out right and be specific in your goal. And Ayatunde Garrett, good morning. And Terry Lynn Davis Covington, good morning to you also. So thanks so much for everyone just tuning in and weighing in and saying good morning to us. We appreciate it.
Yep, we absolutely appreciate that. And you know, we're trying to move in a direction, man, that actually is empowering to our community, where we are not at each other's throats, where we are moving in a direction that actually helps our community, and where we are actually submitting to leadership instead of trying to divide it, right? We've seen how that works out. And so that's kind of where we're trying to go, man. So I want to go to the phone lines. Let's get Jacob from Alney on line 2. Go ahead, Jacob.
Peace be unto you, Brother Solomon. I just told Sister Kawesa, I said I be trying to just listen some mornings, man, but I can't do it, man. The spell fall on me. You must have put a spell on my mind. That's my boy, the Blue Magic.
Yeah, that's old school.
Yes,
absolutely.
Well,
I remember that song.
That's where I used to play. See, I was with Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes. Del
Oh, okay.
Ain't no stopping us. See, I was with them. I played that. My daddy was a musician, so I wanted to do what my daddy did.
That's what's up.
So I picked up my horn. But anyway, you was asking, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
We make a more perfect union, like that contract said, that Donald Trump ain't read yet. The man offered it to him, the Golden Seal parent here in Philadelphia at the Democratic National Convention. He said, Mr. Trump, if you don't have a copy of this Constitution, damn it, here's mine. Oh, excuse me. Here's mine. He ain't took him up because this, we already know. Again, what do? We make a more perfect union. Let me tell you something. As an African-American Muslim, I was questioned on the streets of Mecca in Saudi Arabia about how can you be Muslim in this country, this great Satan, right? And I asked him, I said, well who told you about great Satan? Well, I feel you. But wait a minute. This is a country where, and I know there, you couldn't, they told me one time, we was in the public, and we were speaking about something, we had a conversation, and some people was telling, shh, because they got the soldiers on the corner. Okay? So, in America, this is a contract that says, I don't care. First of all, we all are endowed with certain inalienable rights given to us by the Creator, right? This is on this contract. So what makes me think as a Muslim that gay, lesbian, transgender, Chinese, Japanese, anybody ain't got the same right that I have as a believing Muslim? And I told them, I said, let me tell you something, brother. You could worship a pole in America if you want. You could pray to that pole 5 times a day, and they'll let you do it. But they'll just say, boy, he really foolish. He wasting time. And pray for, and pray for. But the bottom line is, Solomon, this is what we see that we have to do. Do we think that the Creator of heaven and earth put us through a fire for 400 years and we wasn't going to take part in this thing with truth? I heard somebody say this morning on television, Donald Trump killed truth. Now, is it time for the believers to step up to the plate now we at bat and hit a grand slam? Ain't that the best you can do? Football, yeah. It's time, as the winding, it's time. Time to make a change. We are the people. We can do it, right?
There you go.
Ain't no stopping us now. Thank you, brother.
There you go. Thank you, Jacob. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines. Will Mega is back on the line from West Philly. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm glad folks are now waking up and seeing what I was just talking about a few days ago.
When you was telling me what I need to be doing?
Don't be so sensitive.
No, I'm just saying. That's when you was telling me what I need to be doing with my job and how I need to be doing mine.
Solomon.
What? What?
Today is Wednesday. Let's focus on this because I know.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
and then trying to go and trash me on Facebook. You know, I don't comment on Facebook because I'm trying to do the show. I'm watching though, and I'm seeing, and so I'm like, okay, all right, Will.
Stay focused. I never trashed
Oh, I am focused.
Now you're slandering me. I never.
No, I'm not slandering you. You slander. I'm saying you were saying all the stuff that I need to be doing, right? And then you went on Facebook and was like, "Oh, Solomon tried to make it about him." Oh, I saw it. I just don't have time to comment on it.
That's not trashing you. That's saying what you're doing right now. So can I call and make my comment? Making it about you. So,
oh man, no, I'm not making it about me. It's always about our people. This is what I'm saying. If you want to be, I'm just a piece of advice. If you want to be a leader in our community, it always has to be about the people. It always has to be about them because the people, you lead with the consent of the people. It's never about you. That's why things ain't working out for Donald Trump. And so when we are in a position to have some kind of authority in our community, to have some kind of leadership in our community, you always got to have a heart for the people. Just a piece of advice.
You ready?
Yes.
Thank you for your kind advice.
You're welcome.
So, as I was saying before I was kindly interrupted, you mentioned earlier about what we need to do, whether or not we should be boycotting this head of this country to make a statement as black people. And I'm focused on the fact that all politics are local, and I'm focusing on what I've been saying from the door. And it comes back to Jim Kenney. Jim Kenney promised to end stop and frisk, flim-flammed us on that, ran a second term, then said, well, let's put it on the ballot. The people voted in favor of it. Just the other day, I told us we can't go to Frank James. We can't call Frank James because Jesse James has done some harm to us. Today, I'm hearing that folks need to come together and get that bunker down and get food, and I understand all that. But we have a Philadelphia police detective, right, who is responsible for vetting the social media of potential officers, including black officers, who found as both racist, an insurgent, a terrorist, and damn near, should I say, a traitor to this country, right? With help from other policing agencies from this city, and a head of the Philadelphia Police Union who endorsed Donald Trump. Yet the head of the city, Jim Kenney, has still yet to end stop and frisk. So on one hand, he's perpetuating a policing system that targets black people, and on the other hand, he has hired and supported folks who work for the city to prevent black people from even joining the force at equitable or.
So what's your point, Will? Because you're making a speech. What's your point? Because we got to get ready to go to break. What's your point?
My point is reiterating what I just said the other day that you were so, up in arms about, bro.
Look, man, what is it? Matter of fact, see you. Because I asked you to get to your point, you didn't. So see you. Gail from the Northeast is online too. Go ahead, Gail.
Good morning.
That's foolishness. I can't. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying you're correct. We have to be strategic in how we want to boycott and stop the money flow to all these candidates. And with them taking over these different capitals, especially the one in there, we have to understand, yes, this has been coming for a long time. And some people just don't understand you're there for a reason. You are the word that we hear in the morning that give us the fortitude to go out and do something else, to start our own. You are just one of those, as they used to say, prophets that give the word. Now we have to go out and do something. And we can't always wait for you to go out and say, okay, now we'll do this and this. No, it's up to us because we have to believe the leader. We have to be the leaders that we believe in. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail. I appreciate your call this morning on WRD. I did say we got to go to break, and we do. On the other side, we're going to continue the show. Lynn Washington is up next. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
You know that feeling? Like every door is closing and you just can't see a way out? Being unemployed, underemployed, or just out of school can feel like that. But when you find the right tools, suddenly everything just clicks. FindSomethingNew.org offers resources that help develop new skills. Skills that can position you for careers in today's growing industries, from healthcare and manufacturing to cybersecurity and alternative energy. Find your path to a new career at FindSomethingNew.org. A message from the Ad Council.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
The people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by challengesweface.org. Looking at volume heavy southbound 95. You're jammed up. Cotman down through Bridge. Again, delays heavy. Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound looks good. Westbound Vine. That's busy. 8th out through Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound Jam University through the Vine through construction. Busy again. Belmont out through Conshohocken. Eastbound delays Spring Garden through University. PA Turnpike. Blue Ridge 476. Still a pretty good ride. The Boulevard Route 1 southbound jamming 9th Street down through Broad through construction. 55 northbound heavy. Deptford in the 42. Something's wrong. You can feel it. The news is too biased, social media too censored, even more extreme ideologies tearing us apart. What is fueling the division? Visit challengesweface.org to learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Another sunny, nice January day today. Temperatures will climb from the 20s and 30s this morning to 46 for a high this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies. Clouds come through tonight without any wet weather. We'll dip down to 30 Thursday morning. Partly sunny and a bit warmer tomorrow afternoon, 50 degrees. Clouds on the increase on Friday after some morning sunshine, but it will be warmer Friday, looking for a high of 54. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
This is WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black.
Talk Media.
It's Wake Up with WURD. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
What we saw was misconduct by police. As Malcolm X said, American democracy is nothing but disguised hypocrisy. If you did see the video and you did nothing, you need to go.
And now, Lynn Washington, only on Wake Up with WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word, and joining us now is Lynn Washington, Jr. He's a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning Multimedia Urban Reporting Lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How's it going,
How
buddy?
you doing?
Okay. I'm doing well, all things considered.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, so you've had a week to kind of digest what happened in Washington, man. What are you thinking?
Well, you know, a plethora of thoughts, and this has agitated me from the moment I saw that speech that Trump gave and then the mob attacking the Capitol building.
Yeah.
But to just give you like a little succinct reaction, just like that little clip you have when a few minutes ago from Malcolm X, where Malcolm X said that democracy is disguised hypocrisy. That's what we're seeing playing out.
Yeah.
Playing out big time on the world stage. Anytime that you still have the Republican Party, whose members, whose actually leaders, legislative leaders, were under assault in the Capitol building, and they could still go along with this treasonous clown who's occupying the Oval Office, it shows extreme hypocrisy. And just a little, a little assessment of world leaders. Everyone around the world has condemned America, from its allies, England, France, Germany, Sweden, to its adversaries, China, Russia, Iran. And it's really interesting when you look at some of the views of African countries and Africans, because let's remember, what is it, January 11th, 2018, 1,091 days before what we saw last Wednesday. They're saying America has no moral authority to tell anybody anything. And then on that date of January 11th, you remember that President Trump referenced African nations, either all of them or many of them, as countries, excrement hole countries. I know we can't say the real word on radio. And there was a writer from Kenya, and he said that what he saw last week was an epiphany for him. He said that he thought that America was a first world country behaving like a third world S-hole country. He said the real word. But then he realized that America was a first world S-hole country. And they're seeing it. People in your audience have seen it, all their lives.
Yeah.
And this is something that's really irreparable now. And if this craziness goes on with his impeachment and they really don't take action against him, they don't take harsh action against the persons that are arrested, because at this point, how many people have actually been charged with riot? How many people have been charged with sedation? Not many. You broke into our house and you weren't supposed to be there.
Right.
We have 2 million people in jail in America because they allegedly did not follow the rules and the laws. Pennsylvania had the highest percentage, actually the highest number as well as percentage of juveniles, people who were under the age of 18 when they committed a crime, and they were sentenced to life in prison because of them not being responsible and following the law. Now we have the President of the United States breaking the law. We have persons who have followed the president rapidly breaking the law, including police officers. And we had that mob kill police officers. And you just get a silence. I think today, Mumia Abu-Jamal is in prison today after almost 40 years because they claimed that he killed a cop and falsely convicted him. Or let me put it this way, convicted him on evidence that didn't indicate that he did what they claimed that he did. And they're still screaming and yelling about that. But we saw on TV, cops murdered live on TV. And they say, oh, well, man, that's it, we'll deal with that next week. Yeah, right. So I'm sorry I rambled a little bit and traveled all around the world, but this is just crazy, but it's crazy on top of crazy on top of crazy. And in a historical context, it again shows the denial of America's original sin, which is racism.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you've got the Republicans on two different sides, right? You've got two Republicans who supported Trump throughout his presidency. And now they're on different sides when it comes to holding them accountable for inciting the riot that could have killed them both. So Mike Pence has refused to invoke the 25th Amendment and declare Donald Trump unfit for office. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, on the other hand, says he will support impeachment proceedings after he reads the articles of impeachment. So how have we arrived at this moment, and where do we go from here, Len?
Well, it's very easy to detail how we got here. Where we go from here, that's now, the big question mark. We got here because of craven politics, and we got here because America has not dealt with the racism that leads to the inequality. And these white people who are angry, we have to be responsive and try to understand what their anger is. What is your anger? You've had everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have more, it ain't because of us. And when I say us, I mean black people. We ain't there keeping you from getting a bank loan to expand your business, but you're doing that to us.
Yep.
We're not denying you mortgages to live where you want, but you do that to us. And now you're mad because your man lost in a free and fair election. But this denial is just sickening. One of the Republicans who support the president is a Republican congressman from York, Pennsylvania. York, Pennsylvania is a little city south of Harrisburg. Last fall, when he was speaking to the Rotary Club in York, he denied that there was anything called institutional racism, and there was no institutionalized police brutality. It was just a few incidents here and there. York, Pennsylvania had a ugly riot back in the late 60s or 70s. Some people were killed. What was that but institutional racism? In the city where Scott Perry grew up, in the city that he represents in Congress, things were so bad there that years later, the then mayor of York was exposed for having been involved in one of the murders that took place during that riot, and he had to be removed. Scott Perry didn't see this. That's ridiculous. He saw it, but he denied it. And that's where we are now. We have members of Pennsylvania's Republican delegation last Wednesday, after the riot, still stand up and say that Pennsylvania's votes were fraudulent and they need to abolish or throw out all of Pennsylvania's votes because of problems with the mail-in ballot system. A mail-in ballot system that the Republicans in the state legislature voted for, and their machinations in part created some of the problems that came out of that mail-in voting. So where we go from here, I think, Jacob from Arley said it really succinctly. America needs to show that it is a more perfect union.
Yeah.
And follow the laws.
Yeah.
Follow the laws harshly. Somebody killed police officers. Somebody violently and viciously assaulted police officers.
Yeah.
Now, we always hear so much about the no snitching culture in the ghetto. Do I hear somebody saying, it was this guy here who bludgeoned the police officer with a fire extinguisher? We have police officers in on duty but off duty, military people that were at that rally and that was at that riot. And ain't nobody came forward publicly and said, that's the person who did it. No snitching on the highest order. And, we're just supposed to say, no big deal. Well, it is a big deal, and we've been saying it, and you ain't listened to it because you are racist. In 1904, the first black man ran for president. Okay, we always talk about, Obama. We need to understand our own history. A guy named George Edwin Taylor. And one of the things that he said, he ran on a black party, a predominantly black party, the National Liberty Party. And he was saying that when a government fails to, guarantee essentially equal rights to everybody, it's on dangerous ground, and it'll grow like a cancer. That was 1904. We're now into 2021. That cancer has grown. Frederick Douglass, in his famous speech about, what does 4th of July mean to the colored man, and that was, 1852? He said that racism was like a serpent coiled around the soul of America, and if you don't pull it out, I know I'm mangling these words, but if you don't pull it out, it's going to ultimately kill us. And that's where we are now, because America has refused to deal with the racism, be it stop and frisk here in Philadelphia, be it, anything, any number of things that you can delineate that they always deny. And it's just sickening, absolutely sickening.
Yeah, it is, man. And so that brings me to the Justice Department, because you're talking about the rule of law, right? So the Justice Department announced yesterday that its investigation into the Capitol attack is unprecedented in scope. But neither the FBI director nor the Attorney General were at the news conference announcing the investigation. Instead, they send out an acting U.S. attorney, and he laid out that felony charges are going to be placed on some people for crimes up to and including murder. What should be happening right now in terms of this investigation as compared to what is happening?
Well, let me stick my foot in it. If it was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman that had been kidnapped by Muslim extremists, do you think the FBI director and the Attorney General would not be out there if a white woman had been kidnapped from the Capitol building? So again, more of this denial, more of this political gamemanship. In this instance, one of the many tentacles of it in terms of the riot is that we have law and order people ignoring that there was lawlessness that created no order. These are the same people who pass mandatory minimums for people who steal McDonald's French fry from McDonald's. And also, let's keep this in mind too. These conservative law and order Republicans are the same people who have passed these open carry gun laws that enable you to now go to the Capitol building in any state of the United States or most states with an assault weapon. Well, they're really not using it. They're just carrying it. Yeah, they're carrying it. Wearing ballistic vests. They have, 2 or 3 or 4 30-shot clips in them. You can see the size of the clips because an AR-15 clip that's slightly curved is a 30-shot clip. So the problems that we're now seeing are problems that have been instituted by America's institutional attitude. And right now it's the Republicans that are doing the ugly, but 100 years ago it was the Democrats that were doing the ugly.
That's right.
And who knows? Well, let's hope that the cycle doesn't keep going around, so that the Democrats become the ugly again and the Republicans become the savior. Neither of them have done what they should do, but in this century that we're living in now, and a century, time-wise, 100 years back from 2021, it's been the Republicans that have been doing it, and they are being called to account for it. And as we go through all these little, should we do this, should we do that? Is this a felony or is it a misdemeanor? The world is laughing at America.
Yeah. And that's what I've been thinking about, Lynn, because you've got a president, man, who committed treason. I mean, that's really the bottom line. He called out a mob to attack a co-equal branch of government.
Yes.
His vice president was in there. All of the people who had supported him were in there, along with those who did not. So I need y'all to go down to the Capitol. I'll be there with you. He's lying. I'll be there with you. And if you want to take your country back, you can't show weakness. You got to be strong. That's what he told them.
That's what he told them, and that's exactly what they did. And some of them went to and possibly kill the vice president of the United States.
Yep.
The president of the United States, in that speech, castigated his own bootlicking lapdog for the last 4 years vice president.
Yep.
And then the vice president turns around last night or yesterday, or maybe it was always in his mind, saying he's not going to use the 25th Amendment. This is a guy who, when he was governor of Indiana, tough as nails on crime. And here's a crime that was committed that could have taken the life of not only you, but the vice president had his wife and daughter there. And he's still going along with this? And members of the Republican Party are still going along with this? I am so sick of seeing these headlines that, well, a number of Republicans are now favoring impeachment. And when you read down into the article, there's 3 or 4 out of almost 200 in the House.
Yeah.
And now we have 3 or 4 in the Senate, out of 50 or 51. This is ridiculous. But this is America. And America is spelled with 3 Ks at the end.
And it's deep because Mike Pence writes this letter, and he says in the letter that he resisted when they tried to get him to do something that was unconstitutional, and now he's going to resist because they are asking him to play political games. Dude, they tried to kill you.
Right. They tried to kill you. And that's not something that is speculation or something that Antifa has somehow polluted into the media sphere. The people were yelling, hang Pence, kill Pence.
Yep.
Oh, man. That letter is, there's a big, long word called sophistry. And what it means is if somebody says something that sounds logical but is absolutely illogical at all. Him praising the fact that he didn't break the law and overturning the election is nothing to be jumping up and down about. You're saying because I wasn't a criminal, I don't want to go into any kind of political shenanigans. You did what you were supposed to do. You should have made a more stronger declaration. You as the president of the Senate, should have told people like Josh Hawley of Missouri and Ted Cruz of Texas, if you don't sit down, I'm going to come down there and do something to you. But Pence, it's P-E-N-C-E, but it could be spelled P-U-N-K. It is just an embarrassment that it's going to stain America more. Okay, let's not think that this is the first stain on America. Yeah. This is the first stain that you have acknowledged. But we've told you that there's a stain on your democracy from the time that Richard Allen and Absalom Jones and 72 other black leaders in Philadelphia sent a petition to Congress in 1799 calling for a gradual abolition of slavery and protection of free blacks from being kidnapped back into slavery. Okay, so we talk about this law and order stuff. They said, listen, you have a fugitive slave law that allows people to come and get escaped slaves, but what's happening is that people are coming in and kidnapping free blacks and taking them back into slavery. Give us the protections of the law. And they didn't do it. In fact, it was a South Carolina senator, a congressman who said that, we don't need to consider this. One, it's against the law to eliminate slavery. And two, we know that this wasn't coming from black people because we know that black people can't write. It's the Quakers that did it. And the reality is that Absalom Jones, who drafted that petition and wrote it, had also sent one to Congress a year earlier where they were talking about 4 black people who lived in North Carolina, free blacks who had their own little farms and everything, and they said that they were run out of the state by white racists who used dogs to invade their homes. And who was it? I think it was James Madison, the creator of the Bill of Rights. In that instance, he said, well, listen, sorry that happened to you, But you really need to go back to North Carolina and go through the state court system, and we're sure that you'll be able to get justice there. They were ran out of the state by racists using dogs. Now, you think they're going to go back and get some fair treatment in the court system? It's absurd. But this is what they have been doing with us throughout history, and now that has come around to bite them in the rear end big time. And what did Jay call it? The Bahutni.
That's right.
They've been bitten the Bahutni.
That is right. That is right. That is right. That is Lynn Washington, Jr. He's a professor of journalism at Temple University, where he's a co-founder of the award-winning multimedia urban reporting lab. In addition to his Temple degrees, Washington holds a law degree from Yale University. Lynn, as always, thank you for keeping it real.
Okay, Solomon. Take care, buddy.
All right, you too. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by challengesweface.org. 95 southbound, Cotman down through Bridge, busy through construction, heavy again, Betsy Ross through Girard, northbound not bad, westbound Vine, you're busy there from 8th Street out through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, jamming University through the Vine, through that construction, jammed again, City out to Gladwin, eastbound busy Montgomery through Girard, heavy Vine Expressway through University Avenue. Southbound Boulevard, Route 1, jammed up 9th down through Broad through construction, 55 northbound busy, Deptford in the 42. Something's wrong, you can feel it. News is too biased, social media too censored, even more extreme ideologies tearing us apart. What is fueling the division? Visit challengesweface.org to learn more. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Another sunny, nice January day today. Temperatures will climb from the 20s and 30s this morning to 46 for a high this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies. Clouds come through tonight without any wet weather. We'll dip down to 30 Thursday morning. Partly sunny and a bit warmer tomorrow afternoon, 50 degrees. Clouds on the increase on Friday after some morning sunshine, but it will be warmer Friday, looking for a high of 54. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Kwesa, my wife did something to me the other day, and you know, it's hurting. It's hurting me.
Oh, what happened?
She made a 7-Up cake.
Ooh.
She made 7, and that's an old school cake. Like, those of you who are old school will understand the meaning of 7-Up cake, right? So she made this 7-Up cake, and now we down to like the last, the last 2 slices, right? The kids ain't eating it. She gave some away, thank God. She gave some of it away, so I didn't have to eat it. because I would have felt an obligation, you understand, to eat this cake. Now, we down to the last couple of pieces. I just ate my piece, and it's like, this cake is so good.
I kept looking over and I was like, what are you eating?
Yo, this cake is so good. And like, I'm eating it like first thing in the morning because, you know, I got my coffee. It's like a coffee cake almost. And it ain't right. So I think I might have to take a 7-Up cake in my bunker, too. I think that might have to be.
I think that's fair.
Oh, man, I want to hear from y'all. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You had to go in your bunker, right, and go on lockdown for a minute in an emergency, right? What food would you have to take with you? What is the thing that you just have to eat, that you just have to have that along with your other rations or whatever else you would bring? What's that essential food that you would have to have if you had to go in your bunker? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number. You can also weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a few comments here. Kimberly Coleman Gates, 7-Up cake is old school. That's the first cake my mom taught me to make. Geraldine Mayfield says, oh my goodness, 7-Up cake. Please freeze me some. So that's another comment that we have here. Also, Deborah Dorn Carter, thanks so much for tuning in. Terry Lynn Davis Covington, my son makes 7-Up cakes that will knock you over. And then Deborah Dorn Carter is also saying, Pence is afraid for his life. That is why he won't go along with the impeachment. I agree. Last week, they were ready to hang him and Pelosi. In spite of there is still double standards in this country. I hope all goes well for the inauguration. We just have to keep our nation in prayer. And then we have Joanne Kemp saying some of these people, some of these people are calling and arguing with you should try to be a leader in their own community. Have a rational approach and platform if they could do better. Some people just want to hear themselves talk. So that's another comment. And then a couple other folks are just shouting Lynn out this morning. Geraldine Mayfield, Steph Michelle, they were actually shouting out Lynn. So thanks so much for everyone just weighing in and saying hi this morning.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think, you know, one of the things that I will say, man, about leadership is that a lot of times the people who become leaders are called to leadership. It's not like they want to be in that position. It's because you've been called to that position. It's because people have demanded that you be in that position. It's because other people see the potential in you. And guess what? Here's the other thing about true leadership is that true leadership is sacrificial. True leadership is not about you accumulating stuff for you, right? It's not about you accumulating points for yourself. It really is about you pouring yourself out for other people, right? It's about sacrificing what you might want and what you might want to do, sacrificing your peace, sacrificing your rest, sacrificing your strength, sacrificing yourself for other people. That's really what leadership is about. It's not pretty, and it's not something, once you get it, that sometimes you really want, right? And so you know, when you find that someone is clamoring to be in a position of leadership, you got to kind of step back and try to examine their motives before you allow them to have that leadership. Because if it's not about the people and it's about yourself, then you will do harm to the people, right? Perfect example of that is Donald Trump. We watched Donald Trump clamor to be in a position of leadership, right? He used social media to devastating effect, right? And you know that's what people do now, right? They'll trash other people on social media in order to try to propel themselves into a position of leadership. I'm going to attack the person that's in that position using social media to try to bring other people to my cause so that I can now be in leadership for myself. Look here, man. You know, as I've gotten older, you know, I've realized that, you know, there are some patterns in life. And one of them is that when you have somebody who is clamoring to be in a position of leadership, you better take a step back and watch that person, because they are trying to do that not for the people, but for themselves, right? And I think what we've seen last week shows us that when you have a person who does that, it can do tremendous harm to those who follow. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Shaquille from the Northeast is on line one. Go ahead, Shaquille.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I enjoyed Man Up PHL last night. I was on one line.
Thank you.
Listening and watching and commenting. So it was very good last night. Conflict resolution was off the chain.
Thank you, man. Absolutely, man. We have been, just these last few weeks, we've been really just going through our curriculum, man. We have 12 lessons in our mentoring curriculum, and last night was about job readiness and about some of the things that you need to do in order to be prepared to work, man. And so I thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, I have a question for you, though.
Sure.
Is there a way that the listeners can weigh in on and comment besides the comment box? Like actually get in on the conversation on the Zoom? I think because I think that would be beneficial.
Okay.
But I know a lot of the listeners have a lot to say too on job readiness.
Okay. Well, we will certainly bear that in mind, Shaquille, and try to figure out a way to make that happen within that hour of that mentoring session.
Yeah, to your comment, to your question, what food would I take if I had to go on lockdown? I'm taking the whole refrigerator. I got to eat to survive, not just eat for one day.
You taking it all?
I'm taking the whole fridge. Yeah.
I know that. I know that's right. I know that's right, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Shaquille. We appreciate you, and thank you for your call this morning on WRD. Abdul-Jabbar from West Philly is online, too. Go ahead, Abdul-Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. I'm good. You know, it's ironic that you're mentioning what you're mentioning as far as leadership and things of that nature, and people doing things to put themselves in position of power for themselves. That's exactly what I think about what has happened in the city of Philadelphia. Anytime you see all these black people in positions of power and black people on the bottom. And I also paid attention to, and I might not be articulating this in the best way, but about 5 years ago, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, you had to start filing if you were a nonprofit organization or you were like some type of activist group with the city of Philadelphia in order to get licensure or some type of permit to participate in that activity. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's what the city wants you to do. Everybody didn't do that, but yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do a demonstration, for instance, there are permits that they want you to have in order to do that. So you're right.
Okay. So, with that being said, I've realized that, I'm a passionate person, and at the end of the day, I've put aside a lot of things that have happened to me personally because I've realized the mission is more important than me. What I need to do for my people is more important. What might have transpired that people may not even realize at times that they are offending you, because at the end of the day, at the core of it, we are all suffering from the same oppressive system. And however we get to where we are, when we take a consensus that something needs to be done in the interest of our people, if we can do it in our own right, then that's what we need to do. And that's what I've attempted to do. That's why if I can do it, I can give my support. It doesn't always work out, but I will lend my support. But what I will not do is I will not destroy someone's efforts or even attempt to counter someone's efforts to help our people. And I think that I continuously say this on the radio about black leadership in the city of Philadelphia. I'm not taking a shot at everybody. Those that are the ones responsible for our demise, for our children's failed educational system and lack of resources, you know who you are. You need to step up, put your egos aside, and do the right thing in the interest of our people. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate that sentiment, and I think you're absolutely right. And, you know, there are so much, man, that our folks are going through. And when I look at some of the things that are being sold to us as progress, I'm troubled by it, man, because I've been around too long and seen too much, man, and have experienced too much to believe that when you are doing something and somebody else is getting the money, that somehow it's beneficial to us, right? If you are talking about putting out $400 million for a housing program, and the $400 million goes to somebody else, and the debt goes to us, how does that benefit us, right? If you are talking about putting infrastructure programs in place, and somebody else gets the job, and we don't, then how does that benefit us? If you're talking about building playgrounds or rebuilding playgrounds, and somebody else gets the money, and the money does not go to us, and at the end of the day, they get the money and we get a new basketball court, how does that benefit us? I've been around too long, man. I've seen too much. And my questions are not complex. They're really simple. If somebody else is getting the money, how does that benefit us? When we are living in a city where we have a quarter of the people living in poverty, and that poverty is concentrated in the African American and Latino communities, if somebody else is getting the money and we still poor at the end of it, how does that benefit us? That's all, and it's a real simple question. It's not a hard question, right? And so that remains my question. And it is a question that I will continue to ask. It is an issue that I will continue to raise because at the end of the day, I want to see my people benefit. And here's the other thing, right? Because I know that there have been people in the past, you know, all he had to do was break off something for them and their family and their friends and all that. I don't want nothing from you. Matter of fact, I would prefer not to get anything from. Don't give me anything, right, that personally benefits me. I don't want it, because I don't want to be compromised to a point where I can't tell the people the truth, right? And so, you know, there's a lot, man, that we have to deal with in our community, and there are certainly things that we are going to have to do for ourselves. But the very first thing we need is to have the truth, to be equipped with the truth, so that we can then move forward. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we are going to talk with Dawn Frisbee Byers. She is from the Pennsylvania Humanities Council. They have an event coming up that I'm going to be moderating. It's called What Now? A statewide town hall on civic and electoral participation. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
An undercover FBI lawyer infiltrates a group of Bay Area climate activists in A Spy in the Struggle by award-winning author Aya de Leon. Sexy and gripping, A Spy in the Struggle is an espionage novel that puts a uniquely black, feminist lens to the issues of climate change, social justice, and corporate corruption. The Washington Post calls it a passionately felt thriller that will have you on the edge of your seat. Pick up your copy of A Spy in the Struggle and visit ayadeleon.com. That's AYADELEON.com.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we are back. And our guest is Dawn Frisbee Beyer. She is Senior Director of Content and Engagement at the Pennsylvania Humanities Council. She's here to talk about What Now, a statewide town hall on civic and electoral participation. The event is co-sponsored by the Pennsylvania Humanities Council and WHYY. Dawn, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So thanks for having me. I'm going to be moderating this event, and that's going to take place tomorrow. And so why are we doing this event? What's it about?
You know, the Pennsylvania was really in the national spotlight this past election, and the election was like anything else we've ever seen. With the pandemic and the surge of mail-in voting and the accusation of fraud, and really the anger from opposite points of views that have never, ever been solved, as you can see last week in D.C. So we're there to talk about all of that and what that means in our trust in our own democracy and our trust in journalism and the media, and this whole notion of misinformation and where you get your information is what you believe. So there's a lot to unpack, and we're happy to have you on board to do it.
Yeah. I'm glad to do it. So what do we hope the audience is going to learn from this event?
Well, you know, at the Humanities Council, we really believe in open and honest dialogue, and that's the only pathway to healing. So using people's stories and experience to bring issues to light, and really let's try and find some similarities between people of opposing views, because frankly we all have to live together, we all have to work together if we're ever going to create change.
And so who's going to be on this panel?
Well, besides you, Charlie Dent is a former Republican congressman who's got a lot to say. Camille Burge is a Villanova University political science professor. Katie Meyer is the political reporter for WHYY. And Jamari Davis is a businessman from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, who is a voter and has a real interesting story about a change in ideology.
And so it sounds like an interesting panel because I know that there are people from various points of view who are going to be there and dealing with these issues. So we are, of course, talking with Dawn Frisbee Byers. Dawn Frisbee Byers is from the Pennsylvania Humanities Council. We are going to be doing an event tomorrow. It's called What Now? A statewide town hall on civic and electoral participation. And so what do we hope will change, or what actions do we hope to see as a result of doing this event?
I hope that people can start to see other points of views. It doesn't make them the enemy, but we can pull it back, have a chance to have a dialogue. People who are tuning in and watching this live Zoom event will have the opportunity to ask questions and get them answered or start a dialogue about what now. What do we do now? We find ourselves in this situation, and some ideas for that pathway to healing.
So where can people register for this online event?
They can go to pahumanities.org and click on the What Now button, and it will take you to a registration page. This event is 100% free, but you do have to register in order to be sent a Zoom link. Our partner is WHYY, which we can't do this without them, and the event is listed on their website as well.
All right. And is there a phone number people can call for more information?
Actually, no. You know, with everyone working from home, everybody is home, so all the information is on the website.
Okay. Give us again the website.
It's pahumanities.org.
All right. All right. That is Dawn Frisbee Byers. She's Senior Director of Content and Engagement at the Pennsylvania's Humanities Council. The event is What Now? A statewide town hall on civic and electoral participation. It's tomorrow. What time is that event?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Dawn, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you so much for having me, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Look forward to that. And that event, of course, co-sponsored by the Pennsylvania Humanities Council and WHYY. WHYY as a content partner of WURD. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. And it is a lot because the House of Representatives, of course, today voting on impeachment of the President of the United States, not once, but twice. This the second time for this guy, man, being charged with high crimes and misdemeanors by the House of Representatives. Of course, those articles of impeachment then go to the Senate where they vote on whether or not to convict the president on those charges, and that is how he is removed. And unfortunately, they're not going to have time to do all that. But the question remains, what happens, really? And that question, even the question we're asking in that event tomorrow, that's the salient question. What now? Because after he is impeached by the House of Representatives and they charge him with these high crimes and misdemeanors that we all saw, what now? What do you do after that? And that is the question. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We are in a crazy space, right, where you have federal investigators saying that they're chasing thousands of leads in twin efforts to prosecute people involved in last week's attack on the U.S. Capitol and to try to prevent feared follow-up attacks in Washington and around the country. These people, man, bashed out windows, tried to find legislators to harm physically, were chanting about killing Mike Pence. And all of it instigated by the President of the United States. What do we do about it? Because as Lynn alluded to, the world is watching, man. And, in other parts of the world, you do something like this, you hanging the next day. Ain't a whole lot of rap. Ain't no political, theater and all of that. We ain't watching it on CNN. No, you hanging the next day if you do something like this and you're not successful, right? And so the question is, what are we going to do about it? And this, I'm charging people with trespassing and all this. No, they have to be charged with serious crimes and they have to do serious time. And some people, for the killing of that police officer, need to face the ultimate punishment. Now, whether or not they get that punishment, is one thing, but you cannot allow this to just go unchecked and act as if we're going to handle this through a nice political process. The world is watching. And what Russia knows now is, if we want to get the U.S., all we got to do is send white people. China is watching and saying, all we got to do is send some people who don't look like us. It is really, this is a time where we have to decide what kind of country we want to be. Do we want to be a country where lawlessness is allowed as long as the person has, looks the right way? And if that is the kind of country we're going to be, then I would argue that is not a country at all, right? Donald Trump convinced people that if we don't have borders, if we don't have a wall on our border, then we're not, what's a country if we don't have a border? Okay, what's a country if you don't have laws? Or if the laws only apply to some people and not to others? I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures, right? But the pictures are very, very troubling, to the point where it is frightening, right? What happened at the Capitol. When you really, see some of the pictures that you didn't see the first day, right? After they dug through the footage of what they got, man, and show these people bashing in the windows, rushing through the Capitol, killing a police officer. They actually have footage from the moment when the woman who was with these insurgents got shot. It is absolutely frightening to watch it. And so the question is, what do we now do about it besides this political theater? Like, who's going to jail? Who's going to get punished? Who's going to be charged with treason, right? Who's going to face serious penalties around this, man? And, for me, it has to start with Donald Trump, because if he's allowed to get away with this, then what it means is that the norms have changed. What it means is that somebody else can do it. What it means is that we are in peril as a country. And, y'all can, I know some people like, oh, this ain't my country. Okay, but you live here. Your children live here. Your loved ones live here. Your wife, your mother, your grandmother, your aunts, the people who you love live here. You pay taxes here. And so whether or not you like it, this is your country. And so the question is, what are we going to do about this? Gary from Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, Solomon. I just got a question. The PA Humanities event, 4 o'clock, are they going to have a Q&A?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, concerning the radicals, I call them, because that's who they are. In 1954, Lolita LeBron was a Hispanic woman that wanted to she ran into the Capitol as so did the people that did it the other day. And she got a sentence of 49 years plus, and she served 25 years in prison. Hispanic woman from Puerto Rico. So I think, I'm not thinking, I'm saying that those people need to do something similar to their time because they need, something has to happen. Now, according to, I feel like you with number 45, that it's not enough time to do what they need to do with him right now because of the inauguration coming. So they need to do it, but it's nothing that's going to happen expediently. So as far as moving forward, this country's tearing itself apart inside out. And in order to have a smooth transition, they have to kind of like ease their head out the lion's mouth, so to speak, in order to make this thing work and get back on track if they can. That's what I have to say.
Okay. All right, Gary. Well, I appreciate your call this morning on WURD, and I appreciate that comparison. Lolita LeBron, of course, was a Puerto Rican nationalist. She was convicted of attempted murder and other crimes after carrying out an armed attack on the U.S. Capitol in 1954. 5 members of Congress were wounded in that attack. And so how much more time do you get when someone is killed? Right? When a Capitol police officer loses his life in the attack that you planned. And what do you get when you are the person who incited that attack by telling these massive lies over and over and over again, and then telling the people to gather in the Capitol, telling them you can't show weakness if you want to take back our country, you have to be strong. Now go down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we're going to cheer on our brave congressmen and congresswomen, and some of them we're not going to be cheering so much. Because if you want to take back our country, you can't show weakness, you have to be strong. That's exactly what Donald Trump told these people. Right? And so, what sentence does he get for that? That's my question. And then what do we do when he tries to pardon himself? Because that's the next thing he's going to try to do. There is a 1974 memo from the Department of Justice which sets out the policy that a president cannot pardon himself. And so does he ignore that guidance and try to do it anyway and then try to fight it out in the courts? There is a lot, man, to be unpacked with this. But we're going to go to break. And on the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media. Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Dear Melanie.
So you're telling me that the same woman who I know within 2 weeks of dating knew that man's social security number, his date of birth, the names of his parents and his siblings is the same woman who doesn't know that her man is a creep? I don't think so. Ooh, girl, listen. Oh, my goodness. Listen, girl, run. If you start running, your friend gonna start running.
Okay.
'Cause that's what black people do. When one person starts running, we all start running. We don't even know what's going on.
And now, Dear Melanie, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM WURD. That's Melanie Bryant Hurst. She's a doctoral candidate in social work at Widener University, First Lady of Mount Pisgah AME in Jersey City, New Jersey, where the Reverend Dr. Stanley Hurst II is the pastor. Good morning, Melanie. How you doing?
Hey, Solomon, I'm good. A little hungry. Been up all night with the baby. But, you know, otherwise, everything's wonderful.
That's what babies do.
Nobody told me about it.
We wanted it to be a surprise.
I see that's what it is, and I'm going to surprise other people, too, because, I mean, nobody told me. I guess because, oh, my goodness. So I'm, like, starving. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to go eat a cookie for breakfast.
Yeah. That's what they do. That's what they do, and you know, you the mother, so you know you get it double because they suck the life out of you, too. They do that, too. So.
Yeah, Solomon, oh, my gosh. Okay, oh, God.
Oh, man. But it's going to be all right, Melanie. This, too, shall pass. The only part that's worse than this is when they become teenagers. So.
Again, please pray because, you know, I'm telling you, just pray, okay? That's all I need y'all to do. Pray. Okay.
All right. So we got a question for you from one of our listeners. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here it goes. Dear Melanie, my husband's healthy appetite used to be cute. I loved to watch him eat big meals, and I loved it when he told me how much he liked my cooking. But after 10 years of watching him eat, it's a turnoff. I recently discovered something I'd never noticed before. My husband smacks when he eats. Loud, unruly, uncouth smacking. I don't want to leave, but to tell you the truth, I don't want to stay either. I can't stand the smacking anymore. What do I do? Signed, Smackdown in South Philly.
You know, it's so funny because in the beginning, everything is so cute. It's like, oh, he clips his toenails so cute. Oh, it's all right if his toenails are so long and they scratch me at night. It's so cute. Everything's cute. And then it, like, changes. Okay, but listen, here's the truth. I have a confession, okay? And after 4 months, I'm ready to tell my truth because I've held it in for too long. Here it is. Okay. I, too, almost divorced my husband over a plate of food. All right. I mean, I just had to put it out there because, listen, picture it. Friday, September 11th, 2020, I had just given birth to our beautiful baby girl, and everything was right in the world, okay, with the exception that Trump was still president. But anyway, the birds were chirping outside, and it was a beautiful breeze welcoming the setting sun. I really don't know about all of that because I was still groggy from, you know, the epidural, and we were inside the hospital, but that's how I'm picturing it in my mind. So, you know, I'm setting up the story, so just stick with me. But listen, here's what happened. After I received the epidural and delivered via cesarean section, I developed an itch all over my body, Solomon. It was the worst thing I ever felt in my entire life. It started with my nose and my eyes, so I thought it was perhaps allergies. But the nurse confirmed it was a side effect of the epidural. She said that it would quickly go away. She's a liar and the truth ain't in her. Hours passed. I mean, hours passed, and the itch grew worse. It was horrible. My entire body felt like I was attacked by a swarm of mosquitoes. And I begged the nurses, please do something, anything, before I scratched the soul out of my body. It was that bad, okay? And that's when it happened, Solomon. Dietary brought up a plate of food for Stanley. I mean, at that point, I wasn't able to eat yet. But it didn't matter to me because I was itching so badly. And as I sat being tortured by even the sheets on the bed, Stanley removed the lid from his plate to reveal roast beef, potatoes, and carrots. The smell alone started to bother me, but what happened next almost sent me on the stretcher straight to the psych ward. I promise. Stanley grabbed his fork and his knife and started to cut the beef. The clanking and the scratching of the silverware on the plate took my itch from an 8 to a 10.5. But then he started to chew it. Oh, my goodness. It wasn't even like he was chewing loudly, to be honest, but just a slight noise of him chewing this brown pile of meat on the plate. Oh, my gosh, along with the scraping of the plate and the cutting from the knife, it sent me over the edge. And poor thing, he didn't even see what was coming as he enjoyed his hospital slop. I mean, his hospital dinner. He was so happy. I mean, he really was. He was probably singing church songs, thinking about the Lord and the baby while I was lying in the hospital bed thinking about how to get away with murder. I'm dead serious. I stared at him, Solomon. I was disgusted, and I stared at him with so much disgust. He suddenly looked up and caught me looking wild-eyed and crazy, and he cautiously asked, "Are you okay?" Solomon, I wanted to knock the plate over, but with clenched teeth, I asked, "Can you please eat quietly?" The poor thing looked so confused. He really did. He looked so confused, but he saw the rage in my eyes, and he slowly, he did. And he started eating so slow. Poor thing, I felt so bad. But listen, the next day, after I literally itched for 25 straight hours, after a dose of Narcan, yes, the same Narcan they give for opioid overdoses, I had to go back to him and issue him an apology, because the truth is, I knew how that man clanked his fork and knife on the plate before I married him. It was the circumstances that made me want to kick over the furniture in the hospital and kill him. I mean, literally. So, okay, with all of that, unless your husband just got some dental work done, he's been chewing loudly like a cow since before you married him. I mean, it's not new. You know what I mean? And it's not his fault that all of a sudden, because of whatever conditions, maybe you have an itching problem too, I don't know. It's his fault that all of a sudden you up and notice his condition, and now you want half of his assets. It ain't your man's fault. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I understand wholeheartedly. I was ready to take that baby and escape from the hospital without my husband. I get it. Poor Stanley. Pray for Stanley, okay? I'm sorry, Stanley. You know, but maybe it's you. Maybe you're stressed out at work or overwhelmed with the kids. But it's no way that after 10 whole long years, you're about to leave that man over something you never noticed before. You didn't notice it. That's because everything was cute. It was so cute how he just begged for more, sloppy Joe in seconds. It was cute. Now you're mad, and now, you know what I'm saying, his toenails irritate you. Everything he does irritates you. But listen, hang in there, okay? And remember, if you stick together long enough, both of y'all might end up toothless, so y'all can surf and smack together while eating soft foods like mashed potatoes and soup. I mean, it is what it is. That's coming down the line if you stay together long enough. So, SmackDown in South Philly, good luck, Godspeed, enjoy his smacking.
No, you are absolutely right. It's, because, and you'll see it. You've been married, 3 years now, 4?
It'll be 4 in May.
It'll be 4, right? So, wait till you get to 10. It's going to be some stuff that you like, what, this really gets on my nerves. But what you'll realize is that you have to accept those things, right? Yeah. About your spouse. Like these are things, there are some things that I love, and there are some things that get on my nerves, but I love the whole package, and I am willing to deal with these things that get on my nerves in order to reap the benefits of the things that I love so much. And so, I mean, that's just part of it. That's part of marriage. You grow and you stay together, and over time you start to notice some stuff like, man, I didn't know you did that.
Solomon, I did not know that Stanley only when I'm angry at him will he clean the whole house. So I got to stay mad at him all the time. I got to stay mad all the time. I didn't know that before, but nowadays it's like, oh, I need that bathroom clean. Let me just get mad at him. And Solomon, like clockwork, he got the little dustpan out, cleaning supply. The whole house sparkling clean. I didn't notice that before. It, like you said, it's compromise. It is what it is. And if we end up happily married for a long period of time, we all going to be maybe hard of hearing, don't know what he's saying anyway, and we'll love each other because I can't hear what you're saying. I can't hear you. So it don't matter what you say or do. I can't see you.
Right,
I can't
that's
see
right.
You time now, Solomon, when I take my glasses off and the baby made it worse, but I can't see you. I can't hear you. Baby, it's all love. You know? It's all love.
Lord have mercy. That is your favorite cousin and mine, dear Melanie. Dear Melanie, of course, is Melanie Bryant Hurst, and she's a doctoral candidate in social work at Wilder University, First Lady of Mount Pisgah AME in Jersey City, New Jersey, where the Reverend Dr. Stanley Hurst II is the pastor. You can see more of Melanie's work by going to askthepreacherswife.com. That's askthepreacherswife.com. Melanie, thanks so much.
All right, Solomon.
All right, I'll talk to you later. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Melanie said, look, you stayed together long enough. Ain't neither one of y'all going to have no teeth, so both of y'all going to be smacking. Like, what? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we have a couple of comments here. I'm trying to pull them up here now. Malcolm White says, wow, Melanie. And then True Way says, play soft dinner music when you eat. I guess you can't hear someone smacking. Ruben Mills says, Solomon Jones, when your cousin completes her doctoral work, the two of you should do stand up and write a book on all these sets. So that's another comment. Joey Dixon, good morning to you. Phyllis Williams says, toothless, crack it up. And then Ruben Williams like, hashtag toothless. Y'all are funny. And then we also have Deborah Dorn Carter says, I can't stand no one who smack while they eat. She waited 10 years after one day. I would have been done. My family and friends know not to smack while they eat around me, and that goes for popping gum too. So that's another comment. Gail Robinson's Mel is hilarious, but she speaks the truth. Geraldine Mayfield says, stop watching them. Go look at TV. So that's another comment that we have there. And then also, I was trying to, Tia Hicks says, dang, hospital slop? Wow. And then True Way says, Melanie, my kids are 28, 29. I've told them often that we treated them well because they owe us. That means no nursing homes for my husband and I. Take joy in the angelic look she dons when she is sleeping, not you. So that's another one. And then we also have here, trying to pull it up, Nikki Carter says, them years that kicked in, he getting on her nerves. It happens. and then Tia Hicks says, poor Melanie, you going to be fine. So those are a few comments that we have on our Facebook page. And Phyllis Williams actually says, nice hearing you, Melanie. So those are our comments.
All right. So, yeah, man, I mean, that whole, staying together for years thing, you start to notice some stuff like, hold up, I ain't know they did that. Or you did notice it, but it didn't get on your nerves before. And then now you're around each other a whole lot, and especially like during this whole lockdown thing, when you like around each other a whole lot, you start seeing some stuff like, oh, that's kind of disgusting. So, I mean, it's, oh, man. It's just like the old folks that say, just keep on living. Just keep on living. You don't understand now, but just keep on living. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Miss Queen from Cobbs Creek on line 1. Go ahead, Miss Queen.
Good morning, Solomon. You know what? By and by, I tell you. Because when I met my husband, he was like the nicest person to eat. I just liked to be around him when he was eating. But some years ago, he had a stroke.
Okay.
And now when he eats, my goodness, it's like, you're eating food, and it sounds like you're souping it up. And I'm like, please stop smacking, please. And sometimes he'll catch himself because he knows that I just can't stand it. And the whole thing with the crunching, oh, my goodness. It's like, please, just stop it. It's like you're driving me crazy. And this wasn't in the beginning, so I didn't have to put up with that in the beginning. But now, oh, my goodness, the crunching and the souping and, you're eating ice cream. It's not soup. It's not hot. My goodness. And, another thing, Solomon, I wanted to call because I was agreeing with one of the Facebook people who wrote in and said, you know what, if you want something done, work in your community. Help your community out. Find out what you can do in your community and stop leaning on other people and criticizing what other people do. See what you can do in your community and call you up in and tell you what you have done in your community. Thank you, Solomon.
All right. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Renee from West Oak Lane on line 2. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, good morning, Solomon and Kuwait, WURD staff and everybody. I just wanted to talk about this president about when he talked about confident taking a knee and how he called him an SOB and he said he was being disrespectful. But you look at supporters and it's a shame that it took a barbaric act at the Capitol from white racist terrorists for them to recognize domestic terrorism. Black people, we've been living under white racist terrorism like forever, and black people, we've been living in a comfortable in an uncomfortable system. Blacks who don't see racism like Lil Wayne, we just need to, we as people, as black people, we need to, and people in general, we need a lot of work on humanity, and we need to do a lot of praying. But before I finish saying, I like to just compliment Kuwait again on her singing, and I wish she would do some more singing on the air. I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Renee. We appreciate that, and thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. See, Kawesa, when I was pressuring you and sending you those text messages and cajoling and saying I need you to sing Georgia, I knew what I was doing.
Oh my gosh. Look what you started. I will.
I am so happy when I see other people's talents showcased. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to be able to look at people who I have worked with and who I have, partnered with and just been with and hopefully influenced over the years. It makes me feel good to see their success. It makes me feel good to see Rachel Keller now on TV in Virginia, who was one of our interns. It makes me feel good to see Taylor Allen now at Plan Philly doing what she loves to do. And I want to showcase that. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good to know that you can sing, and now everybody else knows that. And hopefully what that means is that you will go forward with that. Like that stuff, that does my heart good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll be pressuring you in the future too. So just get ready.
Okay, I will mentally prepare myself.
Okay, there you go. Just get ready for that. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we are going to talk with our next guest right here on WURD. It is Juan Pablo Garnham. He is a urban affairs reporter for the Texas Tribune, talking about vaccines and black and brown neighborhoods that have been devastated by COVID-19. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media. It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD, man. We have talked about so much on this morning show, so much going on in America around what happened last week. And it all started, of course, with the election and Joe Biden's overwhelming victory in that election. He won by over 7 million votes. And Donald Trump decided to lie about it and to tell his supporters that he really won the election, that he won in a landslide, that there was massive fraud, that they were cheated out of the victory. And, you know, in doing that, really took advantage of people's grief. Because I know what it's like to have a candidate that you want to win and that candidate loses the election. You go through a grieving process. You know, you go through denial, you go through anger, you go through bargaining, you go through finally acceptance. It's a process, right? And he has taken advantage of these people's grief, man, which I think is probably, other than the violence that he incited them to, the fact that he took advantage of their grief in that way, I think is reprehensible, man. You don't do that, but you know, I guess you do when you're a sociopath. So, you know, we're talking about the results of the election, his actions, and then what happened after that. Of course, we're talking about our big three stories, which include story number one: federal investigators now chasing thousands of leads in twin efforts to prosecute people involved in last week's attack on the U.S. Capitol and to try to prevent feared follow-up attacks in Washington and around the country. Story number two, the House now preparing to vote on impeachment of the president after Mike Pence made clear he is not going to invoke the 25th Amendment. And, of course, story number three, I got to wonder how serious they are about doing what they can to lock up these rioters when we haven't seen the FBI director or the attorney general or anyone else who seems to be in charge. So we're going to be watching all of that very carefully. But of course, the other thing that's going on is COVID-19, and it continues to disproportionately impact Black and brown communities. Joining us to talk about it is Juan Pablo Garnham. He is the urban affairs reporter for the Texas Tribune. And he wrote a recent piece called "Advocates Worry That Vaccines Will Be Out of Reach for Black and Hispanic Neighborhoods Devastated by COVID-19. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, and you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. It's great to talk to you. How do you pronounce your last name?
Garnam.
Garnam. That's what I thought.
It's
Okay.
fine. I've heard it in all kinds of ways, so that's okay.
I hear you, man. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. And you looked at how COVID-19 has impacted Black and brown communities in Texas. What did you find?
So, yeah, this is something that we've been looking at throughout the pandemic, of course, in the Tribune, not only me, but all of my colleagues. And in particular in Texas, we've already seen that more than 30,000 people have died. It's an incredibly high number. And when you look at the race statistics related to that number, according to our authorities, to the Texas Department of State Health Services, more than half of those fatalities have been Hispanic people, and almost 10% have been Black people. And then you have to add, of course, everyone that has been infected, which is also disproportionately people of color. And on top of that, you have to think about all the economic impacts. There's this survey that the census has been doing throughout the pandemic, and that just shows when you look at the questions that they ask about, like being able to pay rent or being able to afford food, all the numbers show that brown and Black folks have been overwhelmingly affected by this disease.
So what are some of the stats that you came across to support your findings?
Yeah, so what we did, and this I did it with my colleague Mandy Kai, who is a great expert on managing data and data visualization, is that we looked at the distribution centers of the vaccine, at least the original ones that we knew about at that point, in four of the biggest counties in Texas. That's Harris, which is where Houston is, Dallas, Bear, which is where San Antonio is, and Travis, which is where Austin is. And we saw that the places kind of aligned where wider and more affluent people live. There's like a tendency in general that you see more distribution centers in those areas. And that's, of course, related to the infrastructure and the segregation that the cities experience. If you look at the map, you see the example, for example, in Austin is just stunning, because we have in Austin, there's an expressway, I-35, that divides the city in east and west, and you can see clearly that west of the city, which is more white, there are much more places of distribution. And these are like hospitals, nursing homes, pharmacies. So, yeah, that's something very clear, especially in Austin and Dallas. In Houston and San Antonio, it's a little bit more diffuse, but there's still a relation there in terms of this disparity.
So what's being done about the disparity in where the distribution centers are located?
Mm-hmm. So, to be honest, a lot of the authorities haven't done a lot yet about this, but especially local officials are more worried and more conscious about this issue. So far, what happened is that this weekend we heard from the Texas Department of State Health Services that there will be more hubs, like big, large hubs of distribution of the vaccine, and they hope that will help. In the case of Dallas, for example, they announced this very large hub in what is called the Fur Park here, which is near the south of the city, which is an area that tends to be more Black and Hispanic. But there are still questions about if this is going to actually solve that problem.
So what are some of the reasons why communities of color don't have easy access to the vaccine?
Yeah, there's first the obvious one that I was kind of hinting at first, that they have decided to do this distribution in hospital, medical centers, pharmacies, and those aren't as much in neighborhoods of people of color compared to white neighborhoods, you know. So someone, an advocate was telling me, you know, we don't have pharmacies or supermarkets or hospitals. We have pawn shops and we have dollar stores. And that's one thing. And these actually, like, for them feels like deja vu, they were telling me. Like, this is the same thing that happened at the start with the testing centers, which were also set up in those places. And slowly, local authorities realized that they needed to have testing places in other areas, so they partnered up with churches and community organizations. But then there are like kind of like cultural differences and officials maybe not understanding the differences and the challenges that communities of colors have. And there was someone that was telling me, well, they have decided to do all this distribution in nursing homes, but Latino families, they tend to have their folks at home. Grandparents tend to live with them, but they are not in nursing homes. And there are similar issues, you know, in terms of like the ability to go to a place in your car. You know, here in Texas, we have not the best transit agencies or public transportation systems, and a lot of these centers are places that you need to have a car to get to. So there's a wide variety of issues or challenges that weren't necessarily considered.
We are talking with Juan Pablo Garnham. He's an urban affairs reporter for the Texas Tribune. And his latest piece, advocates worry vaccines will be out of reach for Black and Hispanic neighborhoods devastated by COVID-19. So how is Texas working to try to disperse the vaccine more effectively? I mean, you've talked about some of the cultural issues, like, you know, for example, Hispanic people tend to have their elders living at home with them. They're not in nursing homes. There's less access to hospitals and pharmacies in Black and brown communities as well. So how is Texas working to make this vaccine dispersal more effective?
Yeah, as I was telling you, I think one of the ways that they're working through this is through these massive hubs of vaccination. They hope that will help, but of course that has the problem that you still need to get in a car and go there, and maybe some people might not have a car. And then I've heard, especially from local authorities, so here in Texas, the ones in charge of emergency management are the county judges, which are the leaders in our counties, and they I heard from some counties that they are trying to disperse more information in, for example, in Spanish media, try to work with local leaders. So let's say, you know, the local priest or the pastor. Try to work with community centers and advocates. But honestly, we still will see if that works out and how it's deployed. And what we've seen so far during the pandemic is that the results of any kind of effort vary a lot depending on where you are and how proactive your political leaders and your health officials are.
And so finally, you know, there's a lot of mistrust, of course, of the vaccine and medical experts, period, in Black and brown communities. What reasons did you find for that in your reporting?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for people to not trust. Officials, of course, are trying to convince people and trying to show them that the science is solid. But both Latino communities and Black communities have historical and recent reasons to be a little bit concerned. You know, the Black community has the ski experiment. You know, where in Alabama residents were left with syphilis untreated and monitored as part of an experiment that was sponsored by the state. I mean, by the government. But beyond that experience, and we have someone was telling me, you know, here in Texas, officials have been very aggressive in terms of immigration, and undocumented folks might have some reluctancy to go to any kind of government initiative, you know. And on top of that, it's just that people are both Black and Latino people might just see health institutions as something that is not close to them, that hasn't responded to their needs in general, you know. So they also might not have such a close relationship with these institutions as white affluent people might do.
All right. Well, we're going to be watching all of this very carefully as we move forward. That is Juan Pablo Garnham. He's an urban affairs reporter for the Texas Tribune. His latest is advocates worry vaccines will be out of reach for Black and Hispanic neighborhoods devastated by COVID-19. Juan Pablo, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for the invitation.
You're quite welcome. So we got a couple of minutes. We can actually take some of your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on those various things we are talking about on this morning's show. And you can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at FORWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, to weigh in on Facebook. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
Sorry about that. So we do have a couple of comments here. So one comment that we have, of course, I'm like losing it as I'm trying to grab it. Okay. So good morning to Patricia Ivory. Also, Linda Shields, good morning to you as well. And then we also have Terry Lynn Davis Covington saying it makes me nervous because Trump may pardon all those insurrectionists before he leaves office. So that's another comment. And then you have here Diane Fast is saying, I was listening when Cousin Melanie was on, and I was literally laughing out loud walking down the steps. I had to stop for a second. I thought I'd fall. So that's another comment that we have there from her. And then we also have here, I don't know why my stuff is jumping right now, but we also have Nina Baker, who joined in and said hi this morning as well on our Facebook feed. And then also, maybe not. And then, here it is. Okay. Gail Robinson is saying Mel is hilarious, but she speaks the truth. And so that's another comment that we have. Also, good morning to Malcolm White as well. And also good morning to Walter Davis also, who had tuned in as well. So those are just a couple of comments that we have on our page.
All right. And of course, we got to talk about something that is happening locally. You'll remember that we spoke a lot about the issue of safe injection sites. And it is an issue that is incredibly important to me as someone who has been in recovery for more than 20 years, that you actually have people who are talking about helping people to use drugs and saying that in doing that, they are helping them. That is something that I vehemently disagree with. In order to help somebody who is on drugs, you don't help them to keep doing the drugs that are killing them. You help them to stop. And so there was this push by the city of Philadelphia to support a safe injection site and to put it in a neighborhood where it was not wanted, where people are dealing with all kinds of stuff, man. I've been to that neighborhood several times, and just, what you see there, man, in terms of what the drugs have done to that neighborhood, it is unbelievable. You have to actually walk those streets to really understand the siege that these people are under. And so we're going to talk with one of the leaders of that community. Shannon Farrell is the president of the Harrogate Civic Association. They won a victory in court yesterday around the issue of safe injection sites. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media. for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM Independent Black Media.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now is Shannon Farrell. She is president of the Harrogate Civic Association. She and her neighbor spent years fighting the city's plans to help a nonprofit place a safe injection site in their community. Shannon, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. That's good. So you guys won a big victory in court yesterday. What happened?
So yesterday, the U.S. Attorney McSwain had a court hearing in December. I think it was December 11th, where he made another argument and appealed the original judge's decision that Safe House was legal and able to open a safe injection site. So yesterday, a decision was made. It was 3 judges that heard it, and 2 of them said that it is illegal, and one of them, I think, said that she thought that it was legal. So it was a win for us. So it's now Safe House can appeal it again if they want to, which I'm sure they probably will.
Yeah. And so I guess my question is, because, you know, this was such a huge issue, the overdoses that were happening in the city of Philadelphia, and a lot of the drug activity, of course, focused in Harrogate and Kensington. And once the COVID-19 crisis hit, that kind of, you know, took a back seat. What is going on in your community now as far as the drug activity there that's driven this whole debate?
So it's worse. It has, if you can believe it or not, it has gotten worse.
No, Shannon, wait a minute. It's worse than when I came there and you and I kind of walked the streets there and saw what was happening. It's worse than that?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Lord.
It is. It is worse than that. There's more people living out on the avenue when you walk down the street. We've had a lot more gun violence. They're saying that has a lot to do with the pandemic. We have more trash and more litter, more drug dealers. So everything has gotten worse. And so the city said that it has a lot to do with the pandemic and that they're hoping once the pandemic ends that then it'll come down. They're also adding a police substation because of the violence to the area to try and lower the violence because that's how bad it's gotten.
What is the city doing about it?
So it's the same old, same old. Now, they have a new plan where they say they're going to have a tent policy and sidewalk ordinances that they're going to start to enforce, where they're going to remove people from the street and take them somewhere and try and convince them to get help or give them a ticket, which has no teeth, so we know that's not really going to make a big difference. They're hoping that the police substation helps clear everything. They're going to have foot-beat officers out there all up and down the avenue and throughout the blocks surrounding it. They haven't had any success really getting too many people off of the street, so I'm not sure. They're still relying on harm reduction, which is they go in and get help when they choose to. They're still operating the needle exchange program. They still have prevention point operating. They have added 2 public bathrooms because of human waste, and as it turned out, that's not enough. So they're considering adding more bathrooms. It really has just increased. Everything has gotten worse.
And so what are the neighbors doing and feeling around this issue as things have gotten worse?
So we had a protest in July to bring attention to the area because we noticed that they had an encampment down Ben Franklin Parkway, and that got attention immediately and got cleared up within 3 months of having an encampment there. And we haven't had that kind of response here. They found housing for people, and they haven't done that here. So we had a protest and asked for a lot of different things, and we're still working on that. One of them was to make sure they put the substation in. Another one was for a tent policy, like a sidewalk and tent policy and structure policy, because now they put up beach umbrellas or just use canopies, and it's just really gotten out of control. And they're still working on that because everything has to go through the legal department, and they worry about not getting sued and not breaking the law. To me, that's still strange because this seems to all be breaking the law, the behaviors that we're, dealing with. But they have to meet with their lawyers constantly and come up with ways to make sure they don't violate the rights of the people that live on the streets who are suffering with addiction.
So I'm trying to figure out what rights do you have to, literally, leave excrement on the sidewalk in front of people's houses and leave dirty needles on the ground that might be infected with disease and, have people's children in fear. Like, what right do you have to do that?
So one of the things we asked them was we found out in September that Prevention Point was giving out almost 5 million needles a year in our area. And hundreds of thousands of them get left on the street. So they're adding more cleanup crews, and they have asked Prevention Point to decrease the amount of needles that they give out. But as of now, they haven't gotten back to me on if any of that has happened as far as decreasing the needles. But they are adding cleaning hours and cleaning crews to the neighborhood. But that's not really sustainable because we're still living like this, and there's still people living on the street, and they're still giving out needles all the time. That's never going to change. We're just going to constantly clean up after them. So we often say to them, we have rights too.
Yeah.
And they don't have much response for that other than they say, we understand and we're sorry that you're going through this. But like I said, they always seem to prioritize the rights of the users.
And the other thing that I think, because, you brought up this point that there was an encampment of people on the parkway. They had those same kind of tents that they have been bringing to your neighborhood. Somebody's giving them those tents because they're not cheap. And they're down on the parkway, and they got them out of there immediately. So the difference between the parkway and a place like Harrogate or Kensington is the level of income of the people who live there. Yeah. And so, did you bring that up to them, and what was their response?
So, yes, we brought that up to them because a lot of people in the neighborhood said this is class and race, which I agree with because the neighborhood is 70% Latino, and then it's the next majority is our Black residents, and then it's white. So it's, a community of color, diversity, but poor. Yeah. So one of our civic members, Sonia, started to go to the meetings with me to meet with the mayor, and she came right out and told him, "You're racist. This is a class issue. When it's Ben Franklin Parkway and it was white rich people, you cleaned it right up, put a plan in place, and it may not have happened overnight, but it happened a lot quicker. We're going on 4 years of living like this." But they disagree that that's why that's happening here. But they don't have a reason for why it's happening here. But they disagree that that's it.
Well, are you guys planning to do any kind of a lawsuit around this in order to bring about some kind of result?
So we've been looking for a lawyer who would represent us for quality of life issues and just living like hostages, our own personal safety, our lives are at risk living like this, our health is at risk living like this. And so far we haven't really found anybody that wants to do it because a lot of the law firms in the tri-state area contract with the city sometimes.
And they don't want to lose those contracts.
No.
Man, oh
no.
man, oh
and of
man.
course we don't have money, so we're like, can you do it pro bono? And that's really not popular either.
Well, Shannon, keep looking, keep working, keep fighting. I'm glad you guys experienced that victory yesterday in the courts. That's Shannon Farrell. She's president of the Harrogate Civic Association. She and her neighbors have spent years fighting the city's plans to help a nonprofit place a safe injection site in their community. Shannon, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, you are quite welcome. See, this is why, man. You know, and here's the thing I need us to understand, that sometimes it's race, sometimes it's class, sometimes it's both. And there are people who don't look like us who are going through the same things that we are going through because they don't have money. You know, how are you going to tell these people we're going to put a safe injection site in your community and we don't care what you think? I mean, that's, you know, ultimately that's it. How are you going to tell these people we're going to let these people come to your community, live there on your streets, in these tents, canopies, all kinds of stuff, you know, excrement on your sidewalk, dirty needles your kids got to walk through, you know, gun violence in your community. We ain't going to do nothing about it because we care more about the rights of the people who are holding you hostage than we do about you. That's crazy. I mean, you could get so liberal that after a while you've lost touch with reality. And I think that's part of what has happened with the city of Philadelphia. I challenge any person who is in leadership in the city, man, go down there and walk those streets, man, and see what you see. It is unbelievable. And again, I come out of a background where I've been through an addiction. There are some things we would never have done the stuff that they're doing because it draws too much attention, and would never have been allowed to do that. And so, you know, something has to be done, man. And it is absolutely crazy to watch. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. The one thing that I want everyone to know, man, is that we have to fight for what is right in our city, in our most set upon communities, in our neighborhoods, in our households, and in our country. We are facing a lot, but you know what? We can get through it together. I want to thank everybody that tuned in on today's show, including Juan Pablo Garnham of the Texas Tribune, Temple Professor Lynn Washington, Shannon Farrell of the Harrogate Civic Association, Dawn Frisbee Byers of the Pennsylvania Humanities Council, and your favorite cousin and mine, dear Melanie. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison, and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.